I wanted
to
tell you guys about, I got stickers. Mitch and Mike stickers.
Yeah. Mitch has stickers. Welcome to Mitch and Mike's Voiceover Journey podcast. That's a new one, Mitch. That's a new one. Hey, today on the show, we've got the one, the only, Sean Daeley.
Yes.
Our pal from Global Voice Acting Academy and many other places. Sean's one of my favorite dudes in voiceover. He's just a fun guy. He's just one of those guys that's just so nice.
Oh, you guys are swell. This is my AA meeting. What's going on here?
So how you doing,
is it an intervention of some kind?
Yeah.
He's so nice.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Good to have you on finally.
For sure.
I know. We planned this 2 months ago? But
we started talking about it a couple months ago, and it was just like, when can we? No, we can't. Yeah, okay, that day works. So, yeah. Part of the problem is that for those of you who listen and are part of GVAA, you probably know Sean because he's in just about every workout there is.
Oh yeah,
because he moderates them. Or what do you call? I mean, what is
moderator?
Are you the moderator?
I mean, it's one of my many duties as membership manager. But
I said duties.
Yeah.
Oh my,
that's a number 2-y.
It's gonna be that podcast, you guys.
Yeah.
I've
already
love it. Always in there. Funny, but
I love it.
It's called caca in some places, but
this is going to be the clip
because it sounds like something else. But
this is going to be the cut that we grab and post 45-second clip
the promo
on the social media. Talking about poop. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, Sean, as we do, we want to hear about you and how you got here and what you're doing. And so, for those of our listeners who don't know Sean Daeley, like we know Sean Daeley, where, at what point in your life, because, he looks like he's 19, but he's actually a lot older than that. Yeah. But at some point in your young life, you got the inkling to do this. So where did you start? Did you start in theater? Did you, or just someday you said, you know what, I want to do a voice acting?
Well, honestly, it's something I've wanted to do since I really understood what it was, I'm talking 5 or 6. I just knew I wanted to be in the cartoon and have fun with all of my little animated friends and do silly voices and tell stories together. And then my brother, Tristan, too, we were doing voices back and forth. We're 5 and 7, and we would just do Donald Duck for a while. It's like, like that kind of thing.
And it sounded just like that when you were 5 years old.
Oh, yeah, probably better. I wasn't ground down by reality
Talent
yet. But...
at an early age. So
yeah,
were you
that's
the kids
where it started. But to your question, yeah, I did theater kind of all the way through middle school and high school and college and community theater. Just love cartoons, still watch them more often than live action projects. But
oh, wow.
But now it's okay. I did it before it was acceptable.
Right.
But
yeah, you had to go through a real lull of not telling anybody for a little while.
No, I know. Mitch, you and I have been talking about that, but I read comic books. I read Lord of the Rings and fantasy books. I had action figures. I was a big nerd, and honestly, I'm really surprised I didn't get beaten up more. I think it's because I was also a class clown, so I entertained people, and maybe that saved me. I don't know.
Guaranteed.
You were the court jester at your high school.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. The cosmic
cool.
fool, if you will.
I was I don't know. I like to say I kind of, bloomed into nerdery late, but I had the Star Wars action figures. I was big into that, and I didn't embrace it, I guess, until I was older. But yeah, now nerd is the new cool, and so
right.
Nerd is mainstream.
You fit right in.
You nerded your way all the way through high school, got beat up very few times, it sounds like, if none. None?
No, well, not really.
Why are you asking
a little
him
bit.
If you
I
ever
know,
got
I mean,
stuffed
I'm-
in a locker
We've
or
don't
dunked
get me
in a
wrong.
toilet.
I mean, I was
This
in
is where we
theater.
get deep, Mike.
Do you ever get dunked in a toilet, Sean?
He's trying to unpack my trauma.
I
Whoever
want
his-
to, yeah. Turn this into armchair an expert or whatever.
But I don't know. I was an anomaly. I guess I was likable enough or charismatic enough, but like I was a band geek and a theater kid.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Double whammy.
Indeed.
I'm guessing you didn't do a lot of VO in high school, and you know theaters where you scratch
Definitely
that
not.
itch.
No, I mean I grew up in Washington and Japan, so it's just
Ew.
like, so it was kind of slim pickings there, and it wasn't even like I didn't even know like foreign nationals could work over there until I started meeting like Americans and British people who were doing it on the side, either as like radio talent or occasionally if you're in a big enough market like Tokyo, they might hire you for like a video game thing or if they need American or English voice actors. So I didn't do too
wait a
many
minute.
video games over there, but I did let me back up a little bit. So we talked about theater, did that through college and stuff like that. But meanwhile, I was also becoming, at the Legion of Doom, I was learning to become an English teacher because I wanted something as a backup, right? And I was always inspired by my teachers, and I was the weird one who enjoyed English class because we got to read.
I could see you as an English literature type
No,
teacher.
I have way too many degrees, way too many. I've got
Captain, my captain.
literature, language arts, ESL, ELL,
Wow.
minor in theater.
Who knew
That's
Sean
awesome.
was so smart?
Yeah.
Book learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys.
So how did you make it over to Japan? What was that? What happened there? It sounds like you did some stuff over there. Were you already doing VO, and then you went to Japan and didn't know you could
No,
do
not
VO?
exactly.
Okay.
So two main reasons I went to Japan. When I was a kid, like 10, my dad was in the military. He was in the Navy.
Okay.
My mom was in the Air Force, and they got stationed in Okinawa. So he went up there for a year when I was 9, getting the place ready for us, and then we all went up there. And then I was up there for 5 years until about sophomore year in high school. And so that kind of like got bit by the travel bug, you know. So I mean, it's kind of nuts. Like and Okinawa is a beautiful place. It's very much like Hawaii. It's kind of subtropical. It's like 70 degrees, like 3/4 of the year. It's amazing. So it was a very unique experience. In fact, like my brothers and I are what you might call third culture kids, ones who grow up in sort of a invented third culture that's not quite
Oh.
America, it's not quite Japan.
The hybrid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So very common with like military kids and or people who have like global traveling or work that brings them across the world. But anyway, so I was there for about 5 years. I did theater in high school and in plays and before that. But I always knew I wanted to be an actor of some kind, and so I would just watch like cartoons over and over and over again. I ran, like, basically I watched Aladdin until it was like fire smoke came out of the VCR.
Oh,
like,
wow.
literally, I was that
Okay.
kid who, like, watched the whole thing. Like, I loved it so much, let's rewind and watch it again. My parents hated me. But anyways,
That was Land
stop
Before Time
bogarting
for
the
me.
TV show. Sorry, what was that, Mitch?
That was Land Before Time for me.
Oh, yeah? Oh, man, that's dark. I couldn't
kinda,
make
yeah.
it through
By
it
the
that
time
many times.
VCRs came around, I was already a teenager, so didn't get that joy when I was a young. Get outside and come back in when it gets dark.
Yeah.
It's kind of my childhood.
And now we have
Somehow I-
the attention
somehow
of
I survived.
goldfish, so it was a simpler
Right.
time
Yeah.
then, Mike. Enjoy it.
Okay, so you're already a great actor while you're learning on the spot to become an actor without like proper training, quote unquote. You make it to high school, you're hitting it hard in theater class. Are you getting the leads?
Oh, no, definitely not. So
No.
I was supporting roles, or even
Yeah.
chorus sometimes, dare I say.
Nice.
But, like,
Not bad.
I mean, at the time, it was fun. I mean, it's, like, community theater is great because, and I encourage people to do it, like, if you want to do any kind of acting, because it's, like you mentioned, it's the creative collaboration, right? I mean, you get to be... I think it's important not to be the star of the show. Like, I was watching an interview with Christopher Lee recently, and he was just like, actors are always trying to be the next big thing before they've even had their first role. like I was sweeping stages at midnight in like the Globe Theater, So it's just like I think it's important, and I mean he's had a career that spanned decades, so I think it's really like both his willingness to say yes to just about any role, and also just being a team player and not like I'll be the villain, I'll be a side character, I'll be an extra, I'll sweep the stage.
I was always
important.
just happy to be cast, whatever I was in.
For sure. You get to do the thing.
Yeah,
Get to do the thing,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, if someone says, yeah, you get to do the thing now, it's like, please, yes.
And
take
then if
it,
you didn't,
punch in,
you were stage crew, and you still kind of sort of got to do the thing because you were there.
and hang out with everybody. Oh,
Yeah.
I gave you a half answer because I told you the first time I moved over to Japan. And then, so I moved back when I was 15, graduated from high school, went to Western Washington University up in Bellingham because it was recommended by my theater teacher. That was the main reason, and I got accepted, luckily. So also when I was finishing college, I did like a media internship, which one of my theater teachers there recommended me to. And so I got to meet this wonderful woman, Suzanne Blythe, who was a producer, and she caught me, like my friend Deb recommended me to her. He's like, this kid is like, he's got potential. He really wants to be a voice actor. Can you just meet with him and talk about it and stuff like that? And then, even then, and I didn't want to accept it then, she told me, because she was like, show me what you got. And then I did a couple of character impressions and stuff like that. And she's like, do you have any original characters? Not today.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
And even then, this was
I'm
almost,
a mimic.
Yeah, I'm a mimic. And even now, that was like 20 years ago. But it's just like, I was like, oh, this job isn't about imitation. I mean, even though, let's be honest, people have been influenced and like drawing from inspiration from actors since time immemorial.
Right.
Absolutely.
But still, people bring unique spins to it. I mean, like everyone's got their own walk-in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For sure.
So anyways, graduated, finally moved back to Japan because I was teaching English now. This was through something called the JET program, or Japanese Exchange Teaching. It's kind of something that was done through sort of the U.S. Japanese Embassy, kind of a partnership with that. So anyways, I was stationed in Nagasaki for about 4 years. Yes, that
Wow.
Nagasaki. And
And then what? You were there.
then
You
what?
said you were there for another 4 years.
yeah, so I was
So
teaching
you've
English
spent-
there for 4 years, and this was
Okay.
like my first big boy job, and so I finally had some disposable income.
Nice.
And so after about my first year there, I was learning the ropes, but I was also like diving into voice acting by just reading everything I could. Right, and there was a lot of blog articles that were available, like Dave Corvassier or Corvo. Lovely blog, great book. And then, of course, Paul Straquerda. I learned a lot from his blog. And then VoiceOver Extra as well. Really, really recommended for people who just need kind of an inexpensive resource or a free resource to get into this. Another great book I enjoyed was, what was it? To Be or Wanna Be by Sean Allen Pratt. But yeah, that was really helpful. I just read all I could. And then about like near the end of my first year there, I invested in my first coach, which was Terry Daniel for Universal Voice Coaching. We worked together for about 8 months before we both agreed that I was ready for my demos. And it also kind of lined up when I was going to visit my home for the first time. It was around Christmas time. And so I went back to Bellingham. I met this guy who had his own home studio. He was a musician. But anyways, we knocked out like 4 different demos in like 90 minutes. And I don't recommend anyone do that.
Yeah.
That's
kind of
a
the
good
opposite
turnaround.
of what you hear
Yeah.
and the advice that we get now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, granted, I have a love-hate relationship with my early demos. Like, they got me a lot of work. They've gotten me on agency rosters. But, like, now I'm about as announcery as I could be in those things. Because, I was like, how resonant can I be? And, like, really leaning into the joke and just kind of, like, they call it puking or, like, eating the mic kind of thing. It started with a simple idea. Really just working that mic. Just...
Right. Pretty much any ad you see for becoming a voice actor, that's what those guys sound like.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Do you want to be a voice actor like me?
Yeah, like me.
What is it? Billy
Look at
West
my
calls
beard.
them little announcers. They were smaller, faster, more dangerous than ever.
Yeah, so this is you got your demos cut. You went back to Japan, and when was this? What year was this?
Snap. That was like 2012 into 2013, I think.
Okay,
So yeah, about 12 years ago. So, which is how long I've been doing this.
there you go.
So that was all happening, and then meanwhile, as I was training, I went to like some networking event. There was just a random it wasn't even a networking event. It was just where a bunch of the ALTs, the language teachers, went to just have fun at like this Oktoberfest event in Japan. So like they had pretzels,
right.
they had beer, they had sausages and all that stuff.
Nice.
So and then I met this guy Drew Badger for a company called English Anyone, and he now has a language app as well. But anyways, I was just like, hey, I'm Sean. Nice to meet you, man. I'm a teacher and I want to be a voice actor. And he's like, oh, really? I am actually looking to delegate the audio responsibilities away from myself to someone else. And we actually
Amazing.
worked together for like 7 years.
Whoa.
Wow.
So,
Just because you wanted a beer.
I know. I bought him one, of course, because I wanted to pick his brain
Hey,
and all that
you know,
stuff.
right.
But we became good friends, and we worked together for a very long time until his business moved in a different direction. He didn't need that audio anymore. But anyways, he taught me a lot about being an entrepreneur and how to he was very patient and sort of guided me to the styles that he wanted. Even back then, he was like, I want people to know how real English speakers speak. So don't work the mic too much and stuff like that. And then I even became a bit of a producer too, because then I would work with other teachers. When I moved back to the States and I was still working with him, I would get my friends and other contacts to record them to be just so it wasn't me for the whole thing. So
Right.
Right.
and they wanted to hear as an English language learner, everyone you meet's not going to have the same articulation or resonance or clarity as a trained actor, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is ironically because it could be hard to be like, you got like some of the people we worked with had like no expression whatsoever, and it was just like, I'm sorry, listeners, but this is what was asked of me. But again, it was just an incredible experience, and it was a huge part in like me learning about writing invoices, having satisfying a client, and so many things,
Okay.
So yeah,
go ahead.
hyper
Mitch.
successful.
Yeah.
Like that's what it sounds
maybe,
like.
I mean, I attribute a lot of it to dumb luck, but they say that like success comes from when luck meets preparation, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. That
This
comes
is our
up.
through
You're
line.
not the first person that's thrown that line out on this podcast.
That is
Yeah.
what our podcast should be called.
It-
That's
yeah.
how many times it's brought up.
dumb luck? No,
Yeah.
It's
luck
no.
meets
just,
preparation.
you worked hard.
Yeah.
You worked constantly, and you put yourself at times in the right place.
in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't the best person for the job, which it sounds like you were anyway. It like you picked his brain and he wanted you.
And speaking of, like I said, he didn't always want me, or sometimes he'd ask for like a female talent or a black talent or what have you, you know? And so I got to work with other people that, either that I was nearby in person, or like when I started growing my network by going to conferences like VO Atlanta, then I started to hire people. So I got to be not just a voice talent, but a bit of a producer, a bit of a director, definitely an audio engineer. So it was nuts in its own way. And again, I'm just really grateful. So I don't know if Drew's going to be listening to this, but thank you for all of the help
Thank
and
you,
being
Drew,
so damn
We'll
for
patient.
giving
email
us
him.
Sean.
So
So is this at the same time as that you were teaching in,
So yeah,
in
I was
Japan, or is
teaching.
this?
I was teaching, I was learning, and I was working as a VO with this one talent, and then I was still training, going to workshops when I could afford it, and when they actually worked with the time zone. Sometimes that meant showing up at midnight or at 2:00, just
Yeah.
to be on Pacific time.
I've seen a couple of those people in the GVAA workout.
I know,
Red-eyed
I know.
and
we've got
Yeah.
talent
Sleepy.
Gautier, who's a
Yeah,
French
Gautier
talent
was
in
in the last
Vietnam.
one we were in.
So
Yeah.
it's very global. That it's not just a name, but but yeah. So and to your point, you're like working really hard, and sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and you have to really, really work harder than you think you ever thought you could, right? I remember there were days when, leading up to when I was leaving Japan, maybe like the 6 months before I was coming back, I wanted to have something available because I was, I wanted to dip both toes into it. I wanted to pursue like voice acting specifically and primarily. So I was working with Drew, and I was getting my there were some days when I would I'd have my job. I'd get up at 6. I'd be there from 8 to 3. I'd eat and I'd sleep until maybe 10 o'clock because it's quiet. And that's another thing I didn't mention, is that I had a tiny shoebox Japanese apartment that was next to 2 streetcar stops. And so, which you would hear 4 times every hour as it went. And it was like an old-fashioned bell, clang, 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 clang. And then there was also a police station, a hospital, and a fire station.
Oh my gosh!
How do you time that?
The world was
I don't
against
know.
you.
I mean, so like I said, so there was, when it was at its worst, I was working from 10 to 4 in the morning, and then I would
quiet time.
Yeah, because it was the quietest time, and it was just when I could fit it. And like I said, I'd have to kind of take a nap in the evening, and then I'd have to take another little nap until 6 before my job, and then I'd do it all over again. It wasn't for a long time, but it was I feel like that hell period was necessary to really kind of get the momentum I needed to continue to do this when I moved home.
You've got to really want something to throw yourself into a schedule like that.
Yeah. That might
Kudos
be one of the
to you,
hardest
sir, 'cause
times we've heard.
Yeah, I think that I don't know how. I don't care how much I want something. I don't know that I would do that to myself. So hey, it worked for you though.
Oh shucks, thanks guys.
And you got through the other side, looking back at it positively.
Yeah,
which is great. You're not
it was a lot of work. And I'm I messed up my
life.
Yeah.
My tendinitis is so terrible now, I can't even open a fucking can. And I still can't afford my own editor. But
and I still live in a shoebox
down by the river. But anyways.
So you get back to the States. I mean, there is that transition period where you're done with the teaching. You said you knew 6 months ahead of time. You were prepping for it. It wasn't something sudden. But what did bring you back to the States? Was it just that you were there and you're like, okay, I've done my time here, and now I think I want to transition back home?
It was a couple of things. To be honest, I was in a bit of a toxic relationship, and it got to the point that we were concerned about my safety. So, literally, you want to put an ocean between me and that person. So,
wow. Sean, I've met your now wife a couple of times on the workouts. I can't imagine you being, she's such a sweetheart, I can't imagine you being in a toxic relationship.
Well, when you don't have high enough self-image growing up, people can take advantage of that. Or you can you can settle for situations that you really shouldn't.
Yeah, life lesson, boys and girls.
That's some serious insight, buddy. We got it. We can wrap it up.
That's the soundbite. That's what we were waiting for. Who knew we were a dating show?
That's
so. Anyways, one of the reasons why my girlfriend, now wife, Rachel, that was sort of another reason why I came back to the States, because she knew I was moving back. But and then she reached out to me after she I was kind of vocal. I was like, hey, I'm moving back. I'm also single because this whole thing crashed and burned. And within a few weeks, she reached out to me and just hey, have you ever been to Hawaii before? Because she was working over there at the time, or teaching theater to children as sort of as she worked with a company that kind of provided theater programs for schools that didn't have their own kind of thing. So for they could have a unit or two rather than just not have that resource. So I thought that was really cool what she was doing.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
But anyway, so she reaches out to me on Facebook, and I'm like, I see exactly where you're coming from, but I'm into it, so that's fine. But anyway,
surprise, I'm coming.
Yes. Some guys like a challenge. But anyways, But so she offered to host me for a couple of weeks in the fall that year. It was like up close to 2016, I think. And so I moved back in like September. Crazy turn of events. I had another client from Brazil who I met through Drew, who was actually a Brazilian with his own English language company, like his own lessons and stuff like that. So I did like e-learning stuff for him, and we built up a working relationship that like he actually and he was actually Adir was in a wheelchair, so he's like, hey, I make this annual trip to New York, and I usually ask someone to help wheel me around. Do you want to be that someone? I was just like, yeah. And so like he took me to expensive dinners and like Broadway shows.
Oh my gosh.
You had your own sugar daddy.
I did have my own sugar daddy for a week or two.
And sugar mama. You were doubling
and then
up.
I had a sugar mama. Wow. It was a crazy year. But
crazy year of my life.
Yeah, when I was 17. No, more like 27. Anyways, so that was a crazy year. So we finally met up. Like, and just for a little history about Rachel and I, we actually went to college together at Western Washington. And we were sort of ships crossing in the night because, like, she had a boyfriend and I was just awkward. But anyways, like, there was definitely some sparks there, but I tried to respect her relationship. But I left a bit of a good impression with her because when things were souring with her boyfriend at the time, I just saw she was really unhappy. And I was just like, look, you deserve better than this. And she's just like, you're right, I do. And so
I deserve you.
Maybe. So anyways, like, so that helped embolden her to break up with her boyfriend. And then she wanted to find herself for a little while. She didn't want me to be a rebound, which I respect, right? And I had a lot of growing up to do and sowing my wild oats, which, whatever, do it or don't. But know that, let me say this, like, people's hearts are not trifles, okay? So, like, be kind, all right? And don't lead people on. Like,
it's a good rule of thumb, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, women's hearts are not trifle playthings. Because
I'll tell you what, I'm so glad I got
this.
I got married when I was 20. My wife was 19. I didn't have to deal with the dang adult dating scene. Good gravy.
I feel for everyone who is single right now. It is a nightmare.
Nightmare right now, but you had a blast, it sounds like.
Well, except for,
put myself out there, man. I traveled the world.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, it's crazy times now. But anyways, so Rachel and I finally went over to Hawaii. It was like fireworks. Like within 2 weeks, or like within a week, we said I love you. Like, it was just like it was nuts. And so
ain't wasting no time there, buddy.
So like and like I did scare my family a little bit when that happened. It was like no, it's okay. We've known each other for like 8 years. It's fine.
Right.
We were both just kind of done with the games. But anyways, had a lovely time there. I try to visit once or twice a year. She'd come and visit her folks for holidays. I'd come up like when it made sense for her schedule in the spring or the summer. And we just had a wonderful time. And so we did long distance for like 2 years before she moved back to Washington. And then we were together for like a year. And then the pandemic happened. So then... so basically she was stuck with her folks and I was stuck with mine because we were kind of waiting till she was stateside before we got our own place. And then like we got stuck in the quarantine. And so then we didn't see each other in person for another 8 months. So,
wow.
It was
and you
nuts.
were long distance but
that
close by.
Yeah, we were an hour away, but we couldn't see each other. It's nuts. These unprecedented times. But we tried to make it, like, we talked to each other constantly. Like, I would texting, video calls, all that stuff. We would do weekly Dungeons and Dragons over Zoom with her friends. I felt like a Bond villain because they had me on, like, a big screen TV and then with like, a mic, with a Bluetooth speaker. So it's like, I've called you all here for a very important reason. To cast Conjure Animals. Like, I love druids, by the way. Totally my favorite class.
Sounds like it, yeah.
So
like
cool.
Yeah.
Good
so
pick.
so yeah, COVID hit, but I mean at this point though, So there's a good faction of people that got involved with voiceover because of COVID or during COVID. You know, it really became in vogue to have a home studio and all of that. You were involved prior to that, and then COVID hit. But I'm assuming because you came home, you know, and at that point, Rachel was still in Hawaii. You were doing the long distance for 2 years, but you were working at that time, right? I mean, were you doing full-time VO when you came back to the States?
Not quite part-time, but like it was difficult. It was hustling, but also one thing I forgot to mention before I left Japan, I think this happened, let's see, was it 2015? I tried out for the International Scholarship for VO Atlanta. For those who don't know, they regularly do a scholarship both for a national and an international talent. And since I was an expat living abroad, I still counted for the international one. And so I wrote like a 2-page essay telling about myself and why I want this so bad. And then I did a recorded version of that, an audio file as well, and then did my little Donald Duck thing for them like I showed you at the beginning of the episode. And then I got it. And then and I was a big nerd, and I had a YouTube channel at the time, which is sadly neglected. But anyway, I used to do like a lot of like equipment reviews and stuff like that, or like general voice acting advice. And then, but anyway, so I had my recording equipment with me, and I just interviewed a lot of people who I had been watching on like VoiceOver Body Shop, formerly East West Audio Body Shop, VO Buzz Weekly, and that's how I got to meet people like, or learn about people like Christina Malizia and David Rosenthal and all that stuff. And the national scholarship winner that year was David Toback, who you might know as my compatriot at GVAA.
All right, it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. And so that year I got to meet David Toback, another talent named Mariel Naval, who was working for us at the time, and Christina and David. And by the end of that, we had spent a little bit of time together. And that was just an amazing year. Like I got to meet so many wonderful people. I did a whole bunch of workshops.
You didn't have to pay for Atlanta.
Overload. It was great. But and then I actually won a 416 at the raffle on the last day. So it was crazy.
Speaking of raffle wins,
paying it
this
forward,
microphone used to be Sean's, but I won it at One Voice.
That's right. Well, that was kindly provided by Roswell Audio for my podcast, The VO Meter. So
still has Sean's scent on it.
Fine musk.
It's musky. Like you bathed.
You can't sell sandalwood. You don't belong in this league.
So you're there. The whole squad's there, like the Avengers, first Avengers movie.
Yeah, wow.
You know,
Which
your
one would I
powers
be?
are Captain America, guaranteed. I'm
that
sorry.
means a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I wish
give you
my
Captain
ass was
America.
that nice,
Until
but-
you're sowing the wild oats story, you're pretty wholesome.
I am pretty wholesome. I
You
was
might be
just
more of
dumb,
a Thor
but-
now, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus he dropped the F-bomb, so I don't need, I can't, he can't really pull the language thing.
I'm nice with the dark side, right?
Yeah.
And we're multifaceted. We don't have to be one thing, man.
That's true. That's true.
You know what? We'll give you Spider-Man. How about that? You'll be Spider-Man.
That's
'cause,
right.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, this reminds me, like, JJ, or at least J.K. Simmons, I was thinking about, it's like, he's kind of like an angry Obama. Like, give him those pictures of Spider-Man. If you just kind of make him a little bit more thoughtful of a speaker, I'd really appreciate if you could kindly bring some pictures of Spider-Man to the Daily Bugle Beyond.
He did have that cadence,
and
didn't
nice
he?
Reese's peanut butter cups. But
That's exactly, wow, very good. You are the mimic, man.
Yeah.
I used to do it so much more growing up because, you had free time for one thing. And so I could watch all these things over and over and over again.
Right.
And I would watch cartoons. I would watch stand-up comedy. I would watch SNL. Like around 13, that's when the Celebrity Jeopardy stuff was going. So you worked on the Sean Connery. I'm afraid your plans for world domination are over, Jack. Yes.
I'll take the tips now for 200.
The Peter Schmeicher for 500. Was always for 500.
Loving
Yeah,
it.
see, I grew up. I mean, when I was a teenager, the one that I remember mimicking all the time in high school was Billy Crystal doing Yul Brynner.
Oh, interesting.
Moses and the Hebrews are trying to escape from my father. And I had a friend who could lift his eyebrow up, so he would do the eyebrow, and I would stand behind him and do the voice, and he would be my puppet. That's the mimicry I came from, is the 80s, man. The 80s.
I was an 80s kid. I mean, He-Man is like my all-time favorite cartoon.
Yeah.
Like if you look in the workouts, you can see He-Man figures on my walls and stuff like that. And that was kind of like my Looney Tunes story. Like, what I mean by that is, like, a lot of voice actors have a huge reverence, deservedly so, for Mel Blanc, where and for a lot of people, he kind of gave them the realization that one person could be many, right? And so I would like pay attention. Like, I loved He-Man and watched the episodes, but then it had a notoriously small cast, like 5 or 6 people. And I was like, obviously there's more people in that show. They play multiple characters.
Oh,
and then,
my God.
And then once you start to identify that, like, you begin to realize that, like, for Alan Oppenheimer, who's one of my all-time favorites, like, I mean, he's Skeletor, and who doesn't love that Skeletor? Ah, yes, He-Man.
Follow me for more tips.
Follow me for more. No, I know.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's the meme.
why it could have been me. Why didn't I do it when TikTok was young? But anyways, so there's that, and it's funny. Like, they tell you don't do impressions. Well, be an influencer. It works there apparently. But
Yes.
But anyway, so like there was that, and then I started noticing that you start to hear similarities, right? So like. For example, he also did Man-at-Arms, which was just his kind of natural voice, and I can't sound like that yet because he was in his 50s and I'm not. But anyway, so he had just kind of this kind mentor character as well. And then he played Battle Cat, which was just very growl. Ah, I say we use a tunnel. That's just what I was thinking, kind of thing. And then He-Man has just got a beautiful... I love He-Man because he's powerful but compassionate. And at the time...
And he had that banging haircut.
Yeah, I know, the page boy haircut. Like, how?
Yep.
How did he get away with that? Like,
His muscles, his
crazy
giant
decade,
pecs. Yeah.
I know, that's right.
Might
Who's
as well.
going to argue,
That
right?
sword.
Like, you don't
Yeah.
like my haircut?
It could have been a whole episode.
But yeah, so that happened. I just love that both he and Spider-Man were just very responsible, very compassionate heroes. And I thought that was wonderful, right? I thought that really resonated with me. But like back to Alan, like you start noticing those similarities. I mean, like Skeletor's kind of up here. It's very nasally. He's in the mask. I mean, as you can see, my face gets very skull-like when I do it. So, so yeah, you channel the character a little bit, and then he got really growly for Battle Cat. You just imagine a cat baring his teeth and stuff like that. And then I found out from an interview that he would actually, when he played Merman, he'd drink water to kind of get that, like the actual sound. So,
Oh, he's going to do it?
Skeletor, let me deal with her. 20 years ago, her guardian, Man-at-Arms, rescued a victim I've selected for the Sea Demon. I now demand revenge!
Don't choke yourself.
no, exactly. A little bit of water, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's so smart. I, only recently learned, quote unquote, that it's okay to like eat in an audition that's for a character that might be eating. Like, those things that you're like, okay, just put water in your mouth. You now have a new character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, people think
Don't
that it
let your
has to
lips
all
touch.
be from yourself, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, James Arnold Taylor and D. Bradley Baker, they have all sorts of like glass bowls and sort of tools that help them shape sound because they really think of their voice as an instrument. Right, I'm a big fan of that mentality too, and I think it's a great metaphor because it's like, for example, like we understand, like I mean, we see instruments, we might not understand, like we might not be a musician, but we're like, all right, you pluck this string, this sound happens, right? A lot of trombone is a good example. For example, what happens if I lengthen a trombone? What does the sound do?
I actually don't know the answer. I have no idea
It
what
goes
that's
down.
for.
It goes down. So go,
I literally had I was like, what is this for? Okay,
I know
thank you.
what. He's talking out of his ass now. What,
No
where
idea,
are you going,
yeah.
Sean? I mean, you know, I soapbox all the time. Hopefully I have a point. But anyway, so when we, trombone example, which is a terrible metaphor apparently, but anyways, when we lengthen the instrument, this is true of all instruments, when we lengthen the instrument, the sound lowers. It becomes bassier, right? When we contract, when we shorten it, that the pitch raises, right? So we can do all sorts of things to kind of place the resonance in our face or in our diaphragm to play with those sounds. Like, for example, like I don't have, naturally, I don't have a very deep voice, right? Which is one of the reasons people think I'm 19. Like, so,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I don't know how to get down that low if I want to, you know? So, and that's just by channeling it from the chest, from, you know, just make yourself really muscular in the booth, that kind of thing, from the chest or from the diaphragm, and adapting your physicality as such. So, I just did a workshop, an in-person workshop in Seattle on Sunday, and I was trying to tell people, everyone has voices, right? And not just because we have different ranges that we can access. Everyone's got a head voice, a diaphragm voice, and a neutral voice, right? That means everyone can at least do 3 people, right? You can be an audiobook narrator because you can have a conversation with 3 people, but ignore the hundreds of hours of additional work. But anyways, but my point is, everyone has more characters in them than they think. And not just from a mechanical or technical aspect, but also from a contextual one, right? So we have something in linguistics called register, and that is essentially how you speak to people in different social contexts, right? Like you speak to your wife differently than you speak to the cop who just pulled you over for speeding, right? All of a sudden we get very polite and non-threatening, right? So
I'm like, I'm so sorry, sir.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even know. Acceleration a thing. I wasn't paying attention.
I joke with my wife all the time that she has her regular voice and she has her on-the-phone voice. She can be in the worst mood possible as soon as that phone rings. Hi! And I'm like, how? We were just having a horrible discussion. And, yeah. We all do.
I know. Maybe that helps people communicate. I know it helps me. That's one thing I didn't talk about. When I was younger, I had, I didn't like my voice. It's one of the reasons why I changed it so often, right? And I put on a more resonant, what I thought, I don't know, it was like a 12-year-old mid-Atlantic sound. You know, it's like, oh, yes, that's right, guys. I talk like this, like from one of those old movies.
Nobody believed you,
No, I know.
That's worse than holding your gut in, man. Try to hold that.
No, it took a long time.
Shut up, Mike. That's all I do.
To unwind that. It really did.
Wow.
And that's something that I, honestly, it took getting some neck and jaw issues to be like, all right, you can't approach this from a place of tension, right? Like, that's why it's so important to be warmed up or to to work out or to do some cardio before you do this. Like, I just went to the pool earlier today. I feel great because honestly, I was about to take a nap and then I was like, I got to do this thing. I'm going to work out for half an hour. And then, all of a sudden you're back in touch with your body and you're feeling good about yourself, You got the endorphins going and you feel good that you did something good for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
But that's why I think it's so important not to just jump in to the booth cold. Now, there are times when you're doing more straight-laced work where it's supposed to be more naturalistic or more minimalistic in the performance, that I do recommend that you maybe do a less aggressive warm-up. Like, so for example, if I'm just doing commercial auditions that day, I might warm up for 5 minutes, while if I know I'm doing a lot of animation and video game stuff, maybe half an hour, right? Not too much longer than that, because then you start to get tired and you kind of defeated the purpose, right? Like, you want to be warmed up and ready, but not exhausted before you start.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I want more. I want like another podcast of this, or at least we need to chat about it.
Sean, Sean's definitely going to be a return guest because there's so much.
I wish I had that wanting to lean in as hard as you or some other people, where you dug deep on who did this and how they changed their voice and everything. And I just have this, maybe that's my trying to get my voice deep, is I'm so apprehensive to lean in so hard to something. And I envy people like you, Sean, who like take it as a persona almost. It's
I mean,
awesome.
it was an obsession, right? It was like very otaku.
Right.
For people who know what that is, it's just like you have that one thing that you love, right? And it's something I always wanted to do, and it was kind of like, honestly, I feel like there's a level of naivete that has gotten me here. It's just like, oh yeah, I can't fail because it's not an option. Like, you know, like I can't.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So
I wish I had that kind of drive, you know, for anything really. I mean, I have a little bit of drive for a lot of things, and then squirrel. And
that's the thing, though. I mean, it was like, granted, I was just like, oh, I wish I had my joints in the energy levels of my 20s, but it's really hard to do that. I don't want to do that level of self-sacrifice ever again, right? In order to get here. And I will say too, like because you're talking about character stuff. And this is something I'm sort of trying to relearn from past child self, but like there was young Sean was very much a parrot and a medium, you know. It's like literally like you're so receptive to input that you can you can echo it back without conscious thought, you know, right? So like it happens instantly. Nowadays, sometimes I might struggle with that. Like, I can't do it as instantly as I did before. Or maybe when I hear a new voice, I kind of lean into it. Like, for example, like Clayface Alan Tudyk on Harley Quinn. The way he says, Lady Gaga! But, you know.
Well, there's something on top of that, I think, Sean. And that's, as a kid, it is the voice. It might not even be what they're saying. It's just how they say it that hits you. And now there's all this context over it, and what does that mean to me, and how did they even do that? You're not just thinking about how do I do this thing. That's the toy is the voice, and now the toy is like
and that's the thing. You don't have to know what's gonna come out. Like, I mean, you can have an idea and you want it, and like, I mean, when I was honing these voices, I would do them over and over and over again, like. I'm afraid you're plunge. I'm afraid you're plunge. I'm afraid you're plunge. I'm afraid you're plunge. You know, so like really trying to adjust it and get that that sound exactly the way I want it. But also, too, you should be open to the spontaneity, right? Like, I mean, the more if you think about what you're trying to do too much, you unwittingly put up a block, right? So, or I call it digging a trench, right? So it's like if you try something and it doesn't work, and then you've kind of then you keep trying to replicate that, and then it's an exercise in futility because you keep putting your foot in the trench. You have to carve a new path.
Great stuff. Well, I'll tell you
I'm
what,
gonna take
Sean,
a whole class on that.
Yeah. I feel like Denzel Washington in Man on Fire. I wish we had more time.
Indeed. I do want to do just a quick shout out because I feel like yes, I studied with a variety of coaches and on my own and stuff like that, but getting to work on a daily basis with all of GVA's coaches, like Joyce Castellanos and Brian Summer and Katie Lee, who I grew up watching on like Darkwing Duck and Muppet Babies and Dungeons and Dragons. It's nuts.
Yeah, we had her on a few weeks ago.
Yeah, my life is a dream sometimes. Like, and it makes it that much easier to deal with the like the dark times when there's like the weeks without work, for example, or like so the difficult times when you're not getting the jobs that you want, or the work you're doing isn't like as fulfilling or as rewarding as you want it to be, you know. And like I said, there can be a long period of just nothing. So it's really important, I think, to find those wins and be grateful that I get to work from home. I have a flexible schedule. I can go to the pool in the middle of the day if I need to.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Like, And I can keep a clean, like I can be a good house husband and have a clean house for my wife when she comes home. You know,
Nice.
it's a really like, tis a golden existence, and I'm very lucky to have it. But again, it's not always easy by any means. It's still it's a daily hustle by every stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you, well, you mentioned some names, but we're almost at that point of,
Yeah.
I need to know who Sean is keeping his eye on in this strange industry.
Well, I mentioned him before.
No fair saying us, because other people have already said
well,
that.
I think you guys. I mean, you guys got good heads on your shoulders, and I think you're both charismatic and good talents and good collaborators. So, I think good things are in your future. Yes, bring out my crystal ball. Yes.
Please, if that's what you saw, I'm in.
But to your question, who do I have my eye on? Like, I mean, this guy's been doing it forever, and he's kind of like my spirit animal in the career that I would love to have, but Alan Tudyk. So for people who don't know, this guy is everywhere. Like, he's been doing Disney, he was in Frozen, he was in Wreck-It Ralph. He played the Candy King in Wreck-It Ralph, which was pretty much just an Ed Wynn impression, and that's what an agent asked him to do. But,
Yeah.
I love Ed Wynn, too.
Alan Tudyk is my spirit animal.
Mad Hatter. But,
So we're going to get him on the podcast? Okay.
Yeah.
you should,
Hey, I'll
by
call him
all
up.
means. And,
He's local.
and as
He's from like Frisco or something, or McKinney or somewhere in Dallas. So, but yeah, by the way, I just saw the other day Resident Alien season 4. It's a thing.
Excellent.
It's
Yeah,
happening.
he's great on that, and he's he's one of those few talent that excels with on camera, excels with voice acting.
Yeah,
and he's
so
just
talented.
super duper talented. Like, he's in Resident Alien now, like we said. He's on Harley Quinn as Clayface and Joker, right? Two of my favorite Batman villains. And he's got a wonderful quote from Clayface, like, "Let me let you in on a little secret people outside the entertainment industry don't really know. All actors are vain."
Yes,
But
we
then
are.
he was
Yeah,
in
that's
in
meta.
Moana as a chicken, and he was Wesselton
Yeah,
and Weaseltown.
yeah. Hey, that's the greatest thing. That's all he does.
But you have to be a chick. But you have to believe that it comes out of that horrible chicken's mouth.
He had to get
It's just
paid
like that
so much
poor-
money to be a
I've been to
chicken.
Hawaii. I've seen what the chickens can look like over there. They're just like, "Mark, my life sucks."
Oh, yeah. I've heard those ones. They're terrifying.
Ugh.
I mean, speaking of vainness, I want to do what I want to do right now.
Nice segue, man.
And you I'm the king of segues, and
Got it.
That's
I
my
need-
Segway driving sound, but I
Oh.
don't have a crown. I don't know
I
how
see
to
what
make
you
a
did
crown
there.
sound.
All right,
Mike-
I'll leave
Mike
it.
knows-
Yeah,
Mike
we're
knows
gonna
what I
play
want.
ChatGPT. Well, let's get going here.
let's do it.
Hey,
I didn't
we're
see.
back.
Okay.
We got a thing written. ChatGPT. Hey, it does its thing. We do the best we can with it, and we're gonna do the best we can with it with our pal Sean. Here we go.
That's me. All right. Interior, fishbowl, day. Two fish swim around in a small cluttered fishbowl. The coral castle is a dilapidated wreck, covered in algae. One fish, Finn, is a sleek, sharp-eyed guppy, while the other, Bubbles, is a chubby, slightly neurotic goldfish. The cat Whiskers is standing nearby, watching them with a hungry gleam in his eyes.
You see that, Bubbles? He's just waiting for us to mess up. Look at him, all smug with that look on his face.
Oh, I swear, Finn. I think he's planning something. His eyes, those beady little eyes, he's sizing us up. You don't just stare like that if you're not thinking about dinner.
Oh, I'm not thinking about dinner, my little fishies. I'm planning it. You've been swimming around in that sad little bowl long enough. It's time for a change.
You think you just waltzed right up here and decided it's time for a change? We've been here stuck in this mess of a bowl for months. And now you decide to make us dinner?
Come on, Finn. Don't be so dramatic. Look at this place. The coral castle's falling apart, the water's murky, and there's algae everywhere.
He knows
you
my
think
name.
I'm the problem here? You two haven't exactly been keeping things tidy.
Oh, hey. That's not fair. We got standards, you know. You think we like living in a slum? Do you know how hard it is to keep up with all this slime? And this castle. Oh, it's an embarrassment.
You think you're royalty in that thing? It's a joke. No offense, but it looks more like the ruins of a long-forgotten empire. Just face it, guys. You're not getting out of here alive.
You think you could just stroll in here and turn us into your dinner? You're gonna have to earn it, Whiskers.
Oh, I intend to, Finn. I've got a whole plan. You two have been living like kings in a crumbling palace while I've had to put up with your sorry state. You've been messing up my home. Look at your bowl. It's a disaster. And don't even get me started on your stinky fish flakes.
Oh, we're sorry, okay? But we don't have any other choice. This is where we live. We're just fish. You can't expect us to be perfect.
Bubbles.
What?
He's not gonna stop until we're in his stomach. We just have to think of something. Anything.
Oh, don't stress yourselves out too much. I'm not going to eat you just yet. I'll let you stew in your little fishbowl for a while. But don't get too comfortable. You know, I have to admit, you are a little cute in a pathetic way.
Oh, Finn, we're doomed. He thinks we're cute. That's weird. He's not gonna stop this, you know. Oh, this is it. We're gonna die. He's gonna eat us. And then he'll do that.
Come on, Bubbles, relax. We're not going down like this. If we're going down, it's gonna be in this disgusting mess. Oh, no, it's not gonna be in this disgusting mess. You know what?
Oh.
We need to clean up, show some class, and maybe, just maybe, we can outsmart this furball.
Clean up?
Yeah.
Oh, please! You think that's going to save you?
Yeah?
No amount of tidying up will stop me from making you my snack. I've already got plans for dinner.
Oh, what do you mean by plans for dinner, huh? You can't be serious about eating us, can you?
Oh, I'm very serious. But don't worry. I'm giving you the chance to say goodbye first.
We'll see about that, Mr. Whiskers. You might have the claws, but we've got the brains. We'll find a way out of this, box.
Yeah, Finn's right. There's no way we're gonna be a snack. Not today.
Fine. You've got a little time left. Enjoy your pathetic little kingdom while you can. But don't get too comfortable.
All right, Bubbles. Time for some action.
Okay.
We're not going down without a fight.
All right, let's do it, Finn.
Yeah.
No more mess.
No more mess.
No more fish flakes.
No fish flakes.
We'll clean up this bowl, we'll show some dignity, and maybe, just maybe, we'll outsmart that cat bastard.
Yeah.
They both start swimming around, working together to tidy up the bowl, bracing themselves for whatever comes next. Fade
Just
to
keep
black.
swimming. Just keep swimming.
The cat bastard.
Cat GPT.
Yes. I
That
think
was,
ChatGPT wrote this for us. You typed it in wrong. man.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
oops.
that was fun as always. Sean, you're a blast to hang out with. Let's not
Dude.
make it the one and only time.
Yeah,
we,
man.
We're already planning the sequel.
I need
Yes.
to pry more out of you, man. I knew
The
you'd be a
real
trip.
re-Seaning.
There's a plethora of good stories in this
Just
little
shoot.
No,
brain
I
of
saw
his.
you, Mitch. Your eyes were getting all big. I was blowing his mind over here. It's like, come on, but I don't know. I'm an open book
I-
with a
I didn't
transparent
know-
cover. So ask your
Yeah,
questions. It's
I didn't know
fine.
anything about you, and I've learned so much, and I can't wait to learn more.
Well,
And we're going to make
awesome.
this the most awkward ending possible. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
keep
kind of our
talking.
thing. How awkward can we make this?
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh gosh.
Hi. Am I in your
Sean.
space now?
We just love you so much.
We love you so much. It's like we could make it all
It's all right.
sloppy.
Like I said, I am vain and I thrive on this stuff. But anyways, but honestly, guys, it's been so much fun. I'd love to come back whenever you'll have me.
Yay.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, it's now
Okay.
the Mitch and Mike and Sean show.
M&M&S.
Like a
M&Ms.
song about it?
Mummus. There we go. That's about as awkward as we can make it. All right, guys. We'll see you again next time.
The
Bye.
Mitch and Mike and Sean show.
Bye.